Good morning. I'm higher vibrations and so are you. And I'm in the 10th. This is a fun place to be. There have been a lot of increased reports of Ascension symptoms over the past little while, and it's just been more than physical. We're having, of course, still the dizziness and it's like dizziness, vertigo, along with lightheadedness all together. However, we're having, appetite stuff, whether it's lack of appetite or increased appetite, people going through unplanned fasting intervals of what I do is intermittent fasting. I typically don't eat breakfast or lunch, and I've been eating earlier lately. I've been actually only awake for a couple of hours, and I'm kind of hungry. Very out of character for me. I also went through a period of unplanned fasting recently, though. Now it's like getting my grub on. Though there's this underlying emotional stuff that a lot of us are doing, this release that many people are feeling sad and desperate in some way. There's this sense of anger, this irritation, this emotional base that is uncommon for us kind of surfacing at this time. And most people, like myself, who aren't used to this isn't a common experience. It's kind of off-putting. It's like, why? Well, a lot of things are surfacing for us to heal, to release, and to let it go, right? It needs to be seen. Emotions are energy in motion. They are meant to move. They are meant to flow, to go. And a lot of us, up until now, have been believing and participating in the belief system of holding on to emotions and trying to figure them out, like dissecting them, and why are you here, and now you belong in a new box, and I have a new label, I have a new title. This isn't in alignment always for what's happening in this experience at this time. So knowing that you're not alone in this feeling of also sudden disconnection from energy. So being an empath, your empathy going offline or feeling like it is for a time. This reset we're having right now is just that. A lot of people are having that experience. We're now at the tail end of the Sirian gateway, and we're already feeling the Lion's Gate energy, the portal of August 8th. This is an 8 year, so Lion's Gate this year is an 888 portal. And there's a lot that's in that. The Sirian sun lines up with our sun. It amplifies what comes from our sun by at least 10. Typically more, though in a very conservative assessment, 10 is easily acceptable and expected. There are a lot of other physical sensations that many of us are having. We're having the sensation of pregnancy. We're having this bloated, like Buddha belly, where we're retaining a lot of extra water, allowing for the plasma that's moving into our form to move more efficiently with less disruption and more calm. Along with this as well, we're finding a listlessness, an energy of, it's almost nervous energy of what do I do with myself? Needing to be busy, but having nothing that actually feels like it's in alignment with your moment that you're in. And so perhaps pacing or beginning tasks and ending them abruptly and starting something else. This has been really a common report for this time. Along with other types of purging of the body, we're also having a lot of reports of people who are having unpleasant experiences regarding needing to be close to the bathroom, whether this be with the bladder or the other way. Along with this, people are also talking not only this lower GI kind of stuff, like the IBS-like symptoms, but also having experiences where the side effect of this, so a lot of hemorrhoid kind of stuff and root chakra kind of experiences. This has been really common. So if this is you, know that you're not alone. And this is something that's temporary as we purge the toxins from our body. And, we don't even have to call them toxins. They're simply things that don't serve us any longer. Something that doesn't serve you that still participates in the team becomes a parasitical energy. So many are calling this parasites, which is a correct assessment. What else can we do? Well, however it is that you find There's a lot of homeopathic ways to purge parasites. We have a lot of parasites in our bodies that we haven't purged for some time. If you consider how things were done leading up to only just the past little while, when the people stopped doing it as they burned the books to teach us homeopathic ways of doing things, we would typically purge parasites, daily in some cases, weekly in others, monthly in others, and so on. This is a typical thing. Using your own discernment and wise judgment of what to use and how to purge these parasites, this will assist you. While we're purging, we're also noticing our skin activation stuff. So not only are these toxins or these things that aren't serving us leaving us through our bowels, they're also leaving through our pores, through the sweat glands, right? And so as the sweat moves through our body and out, it becomes a vehicle, a vessel, a means of transport from within to without. And as a result, there's a lot of this, what looks like acne or weird bumps that have some kind of pustule or blister to it. This is really common right now. On the head, on the shoulders, all over the body. I've heard people talk about it even on their palms. This is just something that's happening at this time. Allowing yourself to understand what it is sometimes assists us. You'll also notice that the sweat that you are purging feels different. The texture, it's like more squeaky. There's something more to it than the typical sweat that we had been purging previously. Also, it has a different color to it. It seems that it didn't have a color before, when now there's some type of a residue that's left behind. This is us purging, and it's okay. Along with this purging through the skin, we're also noting a resulting rash. There's like these weird rash places throughout the body, and it's all right. This is something a lot of us are having. Something else that can assist us is when you do bathe, if you can take a bath, an Epsom salt bath really, really helps. I found the increased need for this lately. Also, earthing. This is a technique that I've been doing for quite some time. I used to have seasonal depression, or what was diagnosed as seasonal depression, until I started to bring soil into my home. I found that because I don't walk barefoot in the winter due to the cold, that my body was missing what I got from interacting with the soil, with my bare feet, with my hands as I garden and so on. So if you can't go out into nature, and experience that, to be walking barefoot on the grass, on the sand, in the water, then perhaps bring soil into your home and simply put your feet in the soil and earth. You can also play in it. I find that it takes about 5 minutes per day for my feet and about 10 minutes a day for my hands. There have been occasions where I've only needed to do it a few times a week, and other times I've noticed that I've benefited greatly from doing it daily. So use your own discernment in that. Also, practicing meditation, quietness in mind. This doesn't mean that we completely have no thoughts moving through ourselves. It's simply that we're taking the time to focus on our breathing, and as the thought comes through, to simply guide them away. We are acknowledging them as we do a passerby on a road full of pedestrians. Lots of people walking around that we don't know who they are. We don't need to grab onto their shoulders and shake them and demand their attention. Simply let them move on, like these thoughts as they move through us in this place of meditation. I typically will practice meditation 20 to 45 minutes a day. This is the goal anyway. I would say I typically end up in that meditation space for about an hour. However, I have noticed over the years, when I began meditation, I didn't do it for a really long time, that meditating 5 minutes a day was a good starting point. This allowed me to find my 0 point, to be in my center, to breathing in through the nose, pulling it into the belly. So noticing your diaphragm, your belly raising in this breath, and then holding it for a moment before releasing it out through my mouth. And to do this again. The more correct your posture can be, so aligning your back the best you can to straighten up your chakras, will improve this experience, though doing this laying down is just as impactful. And in fact, you can still straighten your chakras by laying without a pillow and bending your knees slightly. This will allow for straightening of the chakra centers. Another really commonly reported thing right now is this itchy skin. I began to discuss it earlier regarding the rashes on the skin, though the itchiness and tickly skin. The top of my head's been so tickly, it's been driving me crazy a little bit. My arms have been really tickly. Noticing visual things that we hadn't seen before, orbs of energy, of light, moving through our visual range, typically in the corners of our eyes, or the peripheral vision. These peripheral spaces are typically where we'll see things first. We're not really focused on it, so our ego or our logic doesn't get in the way and interrupt the experience as easily as it does if it's in front of us. Which is why most often then when it draws our attention, we see it and we go to look, it seems to vanish. And not always does this resemble light. Sometimes it seems to be a shadow. A shadow does not imply darkness or bad. This does not always imply that something, coming to cause you harm or disrupt your frequency. Often we'll first see a being in the shadow. We'll realize that around the outside layer of this, the silhouette of them has a very faint glow. And then we realize what we're seeing is their aura, very faded. And therefore the shadow that we're seeing is the absence of someone, not quite able to see just yet. If you don't know what you're experiencing is of the higher light, of a joyful frequency, all you need to do is to send out love. Sending love to it, like the energy that comes up into the top of your throat just before you speak the name of someone you love dearly. When you're thinking of how much you love them, sending this love out. And if it is of love, it will return that love, amplified by much more than you have sent to it. If it's not of love, then typically it will immediately flee. Sometimes there'll be this kind of sound or feeling inside of us because it's startling to it. It does not enjoy being in the light. In fact, the shadow cannot stand before the light, and so it shrieks and quickly leaves. So this is a repellent of these other energies. This is a way for you to understand who or what kind of energy is coming through for you at that time. Many other things regarding sleep are occurring right now. We all know that many of us are incredibly exhausted, and the kind of exhaustion that I've been experiencing has been also coupled by increased sleep, which hasn't been the case in different parts of this awakening over the past few years as much as it is right now. I'm being given the opportunity to rest a lot more than I ever had before, which is really great. It's also can be disruptive if you're attempting to continue to keep some type of routine day. Other things regarding sleep are these dream time spaces. When we're dream walking, when we're in astral and dream time, we're having a lot of things, a lot of experiences occurring that maybe we don't understand in a logical sense. However, most of this, if not all of it, is interacting with very real beings, very real individuals, and conversations, council groups, things like this. We're engaging in a lot of different things. There's information, visuals, there's parts of previous lifetimes of things that had not been resolved in this lifetime, and so on, that are coming forward. And so some of it can feel kind of like scary. There's been a higher report of not so much nightmares, but unpleasant dreams as of late. And I am experiencing this here and there as well. These experiences that are coming through, it's very clear that they're coming through for me to resolve some of these things so we can leave. We don't have to repeat this part, because as we're doing these experiences in this lifetime, we find ourselves in the same situations time and time again, different faces, different places, same thing, right? And so it's delivering these experiences to us so we can, at long last, choose self, choose higher frequency, choose the light, choosing to allow yourself to honor yourself and not sacrifice yourself at the assistance of someone else's 5 minutes of joy. And so as these things come through, when we get to find ourselves choosing ourselves, we see that we've actually succeeded in graduating that particular part of this class. And we finally get to moving on to the next thing. Another thing that we're experiencing a lot of is this mucus stuff. That's actually why I just paused. A lot of lung and sinus related things. These activations have been occurring for some time, and it does not have anything to do with where we are in the planet. We used to assume that it had to do with the cold season, right? Or this season or that. Though this is all over the planet, in places that are tropical, in areas that are winter, in areas that are summer. It does not matter. All of these things are some type of a sheath of these other parasites that are leaving our body. And in this, we're purging them through these ways. Allowing for this understanding, we also can see that we're activating our third eye, our pineal gland, our throat chakra, and our heart chakra when we cough. This is why so many of us are coughing. The throat chakra is an area that most people are noticing a lot of stuff going on with. Before I forget to mention this, however, heart palpitations have been increasing. This has had a huge increase in reports as of late, including from my own experience. Regarding the throat chakra, we're finding a lot of different stuff regarding this area of the body. Remembering the throat chakra encompasses much of the nose, mouth, and throat. And so we're having a lot of thymus stuff, thyroid stuff, oral and dental, mouth, tongue, a lot of stuff in this area. Sinuses. The one that I've been experiencing the most has to do specifically with the ears, just below the ears where the jaw meets the rest of the head. There's that joint there has been feeling that it's purging. And in fact, this is where I'm getting a lot of these blisters lately. Just at the jawline where it meets my ear, I'm getting what is acne-like pustules that are leaving, as well as this kind of like the Tin Man. There's something going on with the jaw. As the jaw is improving and realigning, there's also a moment of disruption that's occurring. This is a common report as well. Remembering that when we get these solar flares, when the Schumann resonance spikes, when these different earthquake and different weather-related things that are happening throughout the planet as we're shifting successfully due to your work, due to your service, then we're going to be finding our bodies slowly shifting too. We are raising our frequency above where we have been before. And in so doing, the dormant DNA, the previously called junk DNA, that 90 to 95% of DNA within our bodies, is now coming out of dormancy. And as it does, it's changing and shifting. It's fine-tuning itself. And so in some of that, there are growing pains. There are things that occur in our form that don't feel that great. There are things that we can do to assist ourselves, though the two main things above all else, rest, hydration. No matter the season, no matter your lifestyle, increasing these two things will always help. There are a variety of other things as well. Using your own discernment, because I know certain people's bodies are not so in alignment with certain kind of things. Salt, in particular Celtic salt, or even pink Himalayan salt. I know that there's some dispute in the spiritual community of which one's the best. I can say whatever you're able to have access to. Not everyone has the means to choose. And so if you're able to, of course, Celtic salt would be the highest frequency. Putting a little bit of this salt underneath your tongue before drinking the water, you'll find that the hydration, you'll feel hydrated. Your thirst will be quenched so much more efficiently than drinking water, when in fact, sometimes drinking water feels like it dehydrates us. And so keeping that in mind, this assists us. The hot, cold flashes a lot of people are experiencing, a lot of different things that are occurring in our bodies that are suggesting or encouraging our body to sweat, to sweat out the toxins that are coming through. And so we're going to need more salt. We're going to need more electrolytes in our body. Just remember that you're not alone. Many of us are doing this, and we're doing it all over the planet. You're not alone. I know it feels desperate in this moment. There's this energy of like bringing down the lower frequency stuff, bringing up the conflict, the drama, encouraging unpleasant thoughts, allowing yourself to allow them to move through you rather than grabbing onto them and assuming them as part of your experience now. Greatly assists us in this. You don't have to be in this place of conflict any longer. We are choosing, do we want that? Or would we like to instead be in this place of love and in joy and in harmony? Setting your boundaries and saying no when it comes to things that are disharmonious to you is part of this life lesson many of us haven't fully achieved. And so these types of experiences are coming through more frequently at this time. I don't need to be unkind when I say no. We can stay in a place of grace and of love while still also declaring our self-worth and saying no. I'm not okay with that. We're not telling someone they can't behave a certain way, only that they cannot do this in our world, to us and with us. It's a beautiful thing. Saying no and standing in your power always, at least in my experience, uplifts us, levels us up, and brings us to this place where spirit can come in more easily, saying, okay, now you're ready. Now you're ready. You got this. Thank you for your service. Please don't give up. I know right now feels funky. You're not the only one feeling funky, and this is temporary. I am sending you so much love. Aho blessings.